I get a lot of questions about owning 2 dogs in my Facebook group, Puppy Training with Michele Lennon. People ask, Michelle, when is a good time to add a second dog to the family with an existing dog? Well, this isn't easy to answer because it really varies on the situation. Sometimes I might advise that when the older dog is at least a year old, this might be a good time to add a second dog to the family. But sometimes the answer is never. Let's go through some info today on what it takes to add a new dog to the household with an existing dog. I mean, I have 3 of my own, so I can tell you how to make this work. Michelle here with how to train a dream dog. Now, before I jump right in, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you get notified when the next video goes live. If you're thinking about what your life would look like with 2 dogs or more in your home before getting that new puppy, good. That's awesome. You're on the right track. But what if you already have the new pup? Well, consider these questions as your plan for how to assimilate their lives together. This info is going to help you manage the expectations and shape your training. Now, I want you to ask yourself a few of these key questions so you know what you're in for. Now, the first question to ask yourself, is this a good idea for the older dog? Just because they're the same species doesn't actually mean that they're going to get along. Now, even if they're the same breed, or even if they're from the same breeder or family lineage, that still doesn't mean that they're all going to get along. Now, you might have a better chance of doggy friendships because they have similar temperament, but it's not a guarantee. It's important to evaluate a few things about your older dog when thinking about a new puppy coming into the mix. Now, think about the health of your dog. If he's an old dog, he might be slowing down in his activities. Old dogs typically have some arthritis, or just joints that are a little more stiff. Like humans. You might not think that's the case, but dogs actually are very good at hiding their pain. Now, by watching body language, you can understand this just a little bit more. But just assume that as your dog gets older, he may or may not feel so good when a young whippersnapper is jumping and mouthing him all over. Now, consider the temperament of the existing dog or dogs. So for example, my Great Dane, who is now 8 years old, absolutely loved it when all the boarding dogs would come and visit. She enjoyed playing with the puppies, and she was really good being a motherly figure to them all. She interacted really well with them, and she would teach them better manners if their nipping got out of control by barking at them or gently mouthing them to stop. Nowadays, she likes to sleep more than play, and I know she has arthritis in her hip, so I'm not going to bring a new puppy into our home, or other dogs for that matter. That would seriously stress her out, and the other dogs could cause her discomfort if they jumped on her and nipped at her. Now, another question to ask yourself. Does your resident dog actually enjoy active playtime with other dogs? Or is she more of a lone wolf and wants to snuggle with her humans? Now, if you have a dog who already has some trepidation about other dogs, getting a new puppy is not going to fix this. It's basically going to create stress and tension in your home. It's going to create a lot of training work for you. Be open to the reality of your dogs never interacting and needing to constantly separate them to keep everyone safe and stress-free. I mentioned a moment ago about Harper's arthritis. Well, we've even had to keep Pickles and Wesley away from her too because they're just too rough when they play. Now, Pickles, even though he's small and he's a cavalier, he moves really quickly and he does a lot of pouncing. So keeping all 3 dogs separated in our home can pose a little bit of a challenge. Space is actually limited here in this home, so we've decided to give up our dining room just to make it Harper's room. This gives her a place to go away from these 2 rambunctious dogs when she needs rest and she needs to relax without being bothered by their antics. Take that into consideration when you bring another dog into your home. Now, if you have to keep them separated, do you have the space to do so? Now that you've evaluated the personalities and individual preferences of the other dogs involved, take a moment to think through some things about your own household. Specifically, do you have an appropriate space for more than one dog? Now, as you've probably heard, we never put more than one dog in a crate, so they're going to need their own separate space for sleeping, and you're going to need a puppy pen too. Now, I do have an entire video all about littermates, or when 2 dogs of the very same age are growing up together. It has some really great concepts that you can apply to this situation too. Next area to evaluate, your time. You probably have a nice routine now with your older dog. It won't be fair to him or her to suddenly get less of your time. once a new guy comes onto the scene. Will you have sufficient time to dedicate to both dogs? Now, if you want a reminder for what a schedule might look like with a new puppy, take a look at my new puppy starter kit. With a potty training lesson and a bell training lesson, a sample schedule, and a lot of other great information, this resource is actually going to help you plan the first weeks with your new dog and the first few months. The link is in the description below. Remember that the older dog isn't going to train the younger one. That's your job. Now, I'll go into that more in just a minute. So exercise, meal times, and play times, they're all going to be separate, at least for a little while. Now, I don't mean to be this negative Nelly. After all, I have 3 dogs of my own. Believe me, I know the joy of having multiple dogs. It can work with the right planning. So for example, you've heard me say Harper has her own room, but Pickles and Wesley, my standard poodle here, they have to have their own space as well. If I were to let all 3 hang out in the same space, Harper will likely break a hip as she would be trying to run away, and she'd slip and fall, trying to get away from Wesley, who's like a bull in a china shop. Pickles, he'd get trampled in the meantime and scream out of fear. He's a little dramatic. I mean, it would literally look like a 3-ring circus with a tornado barreling through up in here. You see, Wesley, who's only 2 years old, typically has 2 speeds. Fast and really, really fast. He has a lot of energy. Can you see the difference? He also likes to jump and pounce when he plays. This isn't received well by Pickles or Harper, who have much calmer demeanor and play style. When Wesley first arrived, he was calm and he was relaxed and he played well with the others. But as he grew, so did his energy, and his play style became way too much for the others. Alright, let's assume that you've jumped in with both feet and now you have a new puppy and an older dog, or 2. Let's do this. Now is the time to watch this video all about how to introduce a new puppy to an older dog. Now remember, we want introductions to be positive, which means taking it really slow and allowing each dog to associate the other one with positive things, like treats. But it actually has to be done in the right way. Now, a few quick reminders about introductions. Don't take the older dog with you when you go get the new one from the breeder or the rescue. This is going to be way too much too soon. Don't put 2 dogs in the same room on the first day. Watch that video that I mentioned a moment ago for the right way to do it. Don't correct a growl or a bark. This is actually communication. It just means you, the human, need to do something different. Don't allow the dogs to greet each other while on a leash. This is actually going to make the experience more frustrating for the dogs. And don't have valuable items present, like treats and food or toys, when the 2 dogs are actually interacting. This may create a resource guarding situation that could be very dangerous. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Now, my number 1 tip. Dogs should be on neutral ground for meeting. They should be well exercised and at a distance to allow both pups to remain curious but calm. Now, if you're watching carefully, you're going to notice when you're too close. Alright, let's talk a little bit about life with 2 dogs beyond the actual introductions. There are some ways you can help the 2 dogs learn to love each other. I like to stack the deck for success. I usually recommend parallel walks to my clients introducing 2 dogs who will be spending a lot of time together, whether it's because of a friend visiting or a new furry member of the family. Parallel walks with several feet between each of the dogs allow the 2 dogs to learn a lot about each other through body language and smell, but not be so focused on each other that the situation can escalate quickly. So keeping the doggy brain focused on things like walking helps the situation remain a little bit more calm. When doing those parallel walks, you're going to want 1 human per canine, and you're going to want to evaluate the proper distance between the dogs. This could actually be on opposite sides of the street at first. So resist the urge to get the 2 dogs closer together too soon. Wait for all body language to be calm and relaxed before advancing to the next step of walking a few feet closer. Now, if body language changes to overexcitement or even fear, you've gone way too fast. Take it back a step and stay at that level of distance for longer. So speaking of body language, you're really going to want to brush up on how dogs communicate when you've got 2 of them. After all, they will be communicating with each other a lot. You don't want to be left out of the discussion, so get to know how to evaluate canine play. When it's getting too rough, what it means when their tails are wagging or low, or their ears are back or forward, and their mouth placement too. Now, one of the most popular lessons inside my online course covers canine communication. I recently spent an entire month talking about canine body language and what to look for when dogs are stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed. Like I said, you can find that lesson inside the course under the canine communication section. Now, we talked about each body part individually, and my students actually learned so much about how their own dogs were feeling by how they looked. Sometimes this communication is so subtle. I even have a lesson in the course where I evaluate two dogs playing and point out things that you might want to know and watch for in your own dogs. One last thing to keep in mind, once the dogs are actually interacting, take frequent breaks or create pauses in play. Their play will naturally escalate, especially if the puppy is super excited with his new friend. Taking breaks allows the dogs to decompress just a little bit and prevents the play from getting too rough. It reminds the dogs to focus on you, the human. Now, when first allowing the dogs to play together, you'll definitely want one handler per canine, like on the walks. And you'll want to keep the sessions short. Make sure to take off all collars and harnesses, and do this in a secure, fenced-in area. Watch for an even game back and forth. Make sure one dog is not doing all the chasing. You'll want to see each dog taking turns on the chasing versus the running. Now, I want to make sure you hear me on this one. Take it slow. It's so tempting for humans to rush through the process, but I guarantee you that if you err on the side of caution and you take the introductions and interactions slower, you'll have a much better chance of success. Now, as you are seeing the parallel walks or the play sessions going well, end them on a positive note. Keep them short and fun, and then plan another one for later in the day or maybe even the next day. The more you can keep the entire experience positive and not let it go south, the better. Let's talk about resource guarding for just a minute. Now, resource guarding is pretty common with more than one dog in the mix. This can happen over food, toys, humans, tools like beds or crates, or training with treats. Dogs may not want to share that resource, and they're going to guard it and react to anyone that comes near it while they have it. Now, this is a topic all on its own, so as part of your homework, I'm going to assign this video to you. Before I go ahead and share a few misconceptions with you that you should be aware of, hit that subscribe button so you get notified when more training tips like this one become available. Now, what about those misconceptions? How about well, my older dog will teach the younger dog the house rules. Yeah, sorry to say, that isn't really how it works. Training the new puppy is actually your job. The older dog might correct the puppy, and this is good and appropriate in moderation, like I mentioned with Harper. But if your older dog feels the need to constantly correct the puppy, we have to help them and separate them. And if your older dog is still displaying some behavior that you don't like, he's gonna end up teaching that to the younger one. Alright, another misconception is, well, another dog will be a good replacement for the dog that recently passed. I know it sounds like it might work, but it actually and usually doesn't. Simply giving a dog another companion does not make him miss the other companion any less, especially if the age difference is pretty vast. That would be like sending a stranger your way after a loved one passed away, hoping this new person will make you feel better and get you over your sadness faster. It just doesn't work that way. Not with dogs, not with humans. But the good news is that if your other dog enjoyed having a partner in the home, it's likely he'll enjoy another one too. Just resist the urge to bring in another one too soon. And evaluate the age and the health, like I mentioned earlier. Alright, last misconception. Having a younger dog will keep my old dog young and active. Again, the answer is maybe, but it's not a guarantee. It all depends on the age and the personality. So make sure you're bringing in the new dog for the right reasons. Remember, if your older dog has arthritis or just doesn't get around like they used to, adding a puppy or even a rowdy adolescent dog into your home is gonna really upset your older dog. The bottom line is that we cannot get mad if the older dog does not take a liking to the young puppy you just brought home. Now, we can take steps to build up a positive relationship between the two, or simply allow for a peaceful coexistence by allowing them separate space in the same home. Keep it in the back of your mind that not all dogs love other dogs or want a playmate or sibling in their home. I mean, do you really want to be best friends with everybody that you meet? Probably not. In the comments below, tell me if you have two dogs and what do they like to do together?